There's a stretch of land in Florida where billionaires don't try to impress anyone. This is where US presidents retreat when they want privacy, and where some of the most expensive real estate in America exists in almost complete silence. To understand how Palm Beach became one of the wealthiest and most exclusive enclaves in the United States, you have to go back to a time before Florida mattered at all. Palm Beach did not become wealthy by accident. It was engineered. In the late 1800s, Florida was still considered a mosquito-ridden backwater. Most of the East Coast elite wintered in Europe, not the American South. Then a Standard Oil co-founder named Henry Flagler visited the region. Flagler was already one of the richest men alive, and he saw something others didn't. Not opportunity in business, but opportunity in lifestyle. He believed America's elite needed a winter capital, and if it didn't exist, he would build one. Flagler extended his railroad down the Florida coast. He built luxury hotels before there was demand, and in 1894, he opened the Royal Poinciana Hotel, at the time the largest wooden structure in the world. Palm Beach was no longer a place. It was a destination, designed specifically for the wealthy. But this wasn't mass tourism. This was selective migration. Flagler didn't sell accessibility. He sold exclusivity. And once the richest families in America began arriving seasonally, the foundation for Palm Beach's real estate future was locked in forever. What happened next ensured that Palm Beach would never follow the same path as the rest of Florida. Most wealthy areas grow rich and then try to preserve it. Palm Beach did the opposite. From the very beginning, the town aggressively restricted what could be built, who could build it, and how dense it could ever become. There would be no high-rise skyline, no apartment towers, no large commercial districts. Instead, strict zoning laws enforced single-family estates, large lot sizes, and architectural consistency. The goal was simple: prevent Palm Beach from ever becoming popular. Scarcity was not a side effect, it was policy. Palm Beach is a barrier island. There is only so much land, and unlike Miami, it never allowed vertical expansion to compensate. As demand grew, supply stayed frozen. That imbalance is the engine that still drives Palm Beach prices today. And as wealth moved faster than infrastructure, Palm Beach quietly transformed from a seasonal retreat into a permanent stronghold for generational money. But zoning alone doesn't create billionaires. Something else cemented Palm Beach's status as a financial fortress. Palm Beach is not Miami. Miami celebrates visibility. Palm Beach values invisibility. This is old money territory. Families tied to railroads, steel, oil, finance, and media bought land here decades ago and never sold it. Their wealth didn't need to announce itself. Estates were passed down quietly, ownership structures were layered through trusts and foundations, and prices rose without headlines. Palm Beach became a place where wealth compounds, not circulates. This attracted a very specific type of buyer, not entrepreneurs seeking status, but dynasties seeking permanence. You don't come to Palm Beach to flip, you come to entrench, and over time, this created a psychological premium that still exists today. Buying in Palm Beach isn't just about square footage, it's about admission. But one development in the late 20th century shifted Palm Beach from quiet wealth to global attention. In 1985, a New York real estate developer purchased a sprawling Palm Beach estate that had once belonged to a serial heiress. The property was Mar-A-Lago. At the time, the purchase barely registered in Palm Beach circles, just another estate changing hands. But decades later, that property would become one of the most politically recognized private residences on Earth. When Donald Trump transformed Mar-A-Lago into a private club and later used it as a de facto winter White House, Palm Beach was thrust into the global spotlight. Presidents, foreign leaders, billionaires, and media attention followed. And yet Palm Beach didn't change its character. It didn't build hotels to capitalize. It didn't loosen zoning. It didn't expand infrastructure to invite outsiders. Instead, it did what Palm Beach always does: nothing. The attention only increased demand, without increasing supply. And when global capital noticed that Palm Beach real estate was insulated, protected, and culturally resistant to overdevelopment, prices began accelerating even faster. But the real surge was still ahead. When the world shut down, the wealthy moved. New York, Boston, Chicago, and San Francisco saw an exodus of capital, not people. And Palm Beach was one of the primary destinations. But this wasn't about beaches or weather. It was about control. Palm Beach offered private estates, low density, favorable tax treatment, and social insulation. You could live fully without participating publicly. Hedge fund managers, private equity partners, and tech executives began buying aggressively. Prices that once felt untouchable doubled. Oceanfront estates sold for tens of millions without ever hitting the market. And unlike boomtowns, Palm Beach didn't overshoot because there was no speculation frenzy, only strategic accumulation. The people buying weren't hoping prices would go up, they assumed they would, which brings us to what Palm Beach represents today. Palm Beach is not cyclical real estate. It doesn't rely on tourism, it doesn't rely on job growth, it doesn't rely on development pipelines. It relies on one thing: wealth-seeking safety. The town's barriers are structural: geographic limits, legal limits, cultural limits. Even if demand falls, supply cannot respond. And that makes Palm Beach less a housing market and more a vault. It's why prices here behave differently, why downturns barely register, why buyers think in generations, not cycles. Palm Beach isn't trying to be relevant, it doesn't need to compete, because when capital looks for somewhere to hide quietly, it always ends up in the same places. And Palm Beach has been ready for over a century. From Henry Flagler's original vision to modern billionaires quietly expanding their compounds, Palm Beach has followed the same rule for over 100 years. Limit access, control development, preserve scarcity. That is why its real estate didn't just become expensive, it became untouchable.